here, and today is another episode of my cosplay showcase videos. Today I got my Princess Leia, A New Hope white dress out to show you. This is actually a kind of an old costume. I made it in 2015. I made it for bringing with me to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in 2015, because I thought we're having a whole America journey of 2 weeks. Of course you need to bring a lot of luggage, and I thought, oh, I need a cosplay which is very small. I can squeeze them in the corner of my luggage, and I thought the best thing to do was Leia. And of course I wanted to do this cosplay for a long time already. Leia is one of my ultimate favorite Star Wars characters. To be fair, it changes from time to time between Leia and Ahsoka, depending on what I'm reading or what I'm very into, but Leia and especially this costume is so meaningful to me. This is the ultimate Star Wars look, and I'm feeling so comfortable in this costume. It is now 5 years old already, and I think I would still wear this, but it also shows already some point of it's kind of worn out. But I'm not the kind of person who is then creating a new costume, making a new version, because I think I can improve on it. I mean, sure, I could improve on it. I could already start improving on the fabric, because I think this fabric, although I really like it, that's why I won't improve on it, is a little bit too heavy, and it's not flowy and drapey enough, probably because the real costume was made of, I think, a crepe de chine, which is a very thin and drapey silk material. And I know that people often use a jersey fabric to replicate the dress, which I didn't want to do, because I know it was not the jersey, but jersey also has the drape, and this one is a little bit too stiff. And I remember having something in my hands years later where I thought, oh, this would be a good material for Leia, and I didn't get it because I already have this costume and I'm so happy with it. Let's just get into it, or to be honest, let's just show you a very small clip of when I was wearing it at Star Wars Celebration. I think this video is also up on my YouTube channel way ago, an old video, but just a small clip to see how I'm moving in it. And I also have to say that this is one of my most worn costumes. I think I have worn it at least to 7 different convention days, and there were times when this was my most worn costume. I think that has changed because I have worn my Clone Wars Ahsoka so often, so probably that's my most worn costume right now, but Leia comes second. I just started showing you the costume. It is actually just, you just need 1, 2, 3, 4 different parts to put on, and then you're ready to go. So let's jump in it. So it has this really tight turtleneck, and it consists of actually one big piece of fabric, or I could have made it made a seam here, but I decided against. So it's one big piece of fabric, until here. Here in the waist, there's actually just some elastic inside, which I stitched against it. So very, very easy, very basic. The sleeves, they are kind of flared, but they already are flared at the armpits. Then it's not really very wide, but enough to have enough room to walk in it, and it has slits. Not too high, because we don't want to recreate this kind of sexy Leia, whatever, cheap Party City costume, where the slit goes up until, I don't know, the thigh. This is just a slit of maybe 30 centimeters, which is, I think, accurate. And wow, here you can see it is very worn. This is like dirt which I can't get out anymore, although I've washed it very often. When I first did the costume, I actually weathered it down to have this like look as if she was just like coming out of the garbage press. But of course I've washed it very often since then, and the weathering effect has kind of gone out, but now it has some natural weathering, like there's some dirt which I can't get off anymore. And I'm absolutely okay with it, because it's a dress that she's wearing the movie, and it's getting so dirty. Let's turn it around. Here is the hood, and the hood is kind of the only tricky part, where I kind of I didn't know, is it a real hood or is it something with a slit in the back? And I found out, and I'm pretty sure this is how it really was constructed. It is actually just a long piece of fabric, like a rectangular piece of fabric, which is like gathered here, very much put into the seam of the collar, turtleneck collar, and the other part, the other side, then goes here, because you need something to get into it. Like in the back there must be like a small zipper, otherwise you can't get this over your head. Maybe you could if you really would use jersey, but that's, as I said, not an option for me. And then you can put it on your head like a hood. But I'm pretty sure this is how the original costume also kind of is. Because, oops, my main resource was this book. It shows all the costumes of the original trilogy, and if you have a look here, you also can see that there must be a slit. It's not a real hood. Although this costume here is actually not from New Hope. The one from New Hope, as far as I know, is nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. It's probably destroyed, and it's not there anymore. And we can only base our like pattern construction or whatever on this one, which is from the ending of The Empire Strikes Back. There was the costume was recreated for that out of a more like heavy material, and the sleeves are a little bit like tighter here, and the hood is a little bit maybe also a little bit smaller, and the collar. But so this was like my main point, and of course everything that you can see in the movie when she's wearing it. That brought me to the conclusion that it can't be a real hood. Like it must be something different. Then let's come to the belt. Okay, here's the belt, and it's actually made out of real like thick leather, a cowhide, and it has 4 snap buttons in the back. which is also, as far as I know, the way it was. You will never see that because the hood always covers it. Yeah, it has this typical shape which goes lower in the front and has this pointy like front part here. Oops. And these details, which are actually, of course, they would be metal, but nowadays I could maybe make them out of like Warbler, or could really do a good coating on it to look like a real metal. But back then, like, I totally used just some like foam, some very thin foam, just painted silver, flat, that's it. I could totally improve on that, but I'm also totally fine with this belt. And I'm actually also fine with that it looks already very worn, but that's part of my costume and that's why I don't want to change it. That's why I still love it. Yeah, it sits in the waist. You always have to like get some of the material out. That looks better than when it's like all down. Of course, the mannequin is thinner than me, that's why it all sits not very good. But that's actually already everything that you wear on your body, like dress and belt. So the next thing is boots. I just have simple white leather boots with a black like sole. I painted this black, and of course it has these buckles here, which her boots do not have, and some other things, because you will never see them because I have these boot covers. They come on top of it, and then you just see it like just covers this like this. They are kind of wide. That's why I kept these buckles here, because I just can tighten the boot up here, and then it looks like, because her boots are really close to her legs, they are not like wide, and it also the same the top. I can make it tighter here, and then the boot covers fit on it, and they sit very like normal and my legs. These are actually very simple, made out of leather material. Can you see that? Yeah. Different like stripes here, like different parts that I had, and then I sewn them onto each other. And simple white lining inside. No zipper. So I sometimes have to kind of squeeze the boot inside. Very simple. And of course the wig. Well, it looks kind of silly on that head, because this is a man's head, I think. Don't look at it. This is such an essential part of the costume. It needed to be good, of course. I've worn it so often that it does not look as good as it looked before, and I have retouched it so often already, but it's kind of loose already here. It's actually, well, I ordered the same wig twice. The important thing was it needs a parting in the middle, and it needs to be the correct color and long enough. One of the wigs is the one that sits on the head. It is just made into two pigtails, which are then very close to the head. And the other wig is then cut in different parts and used to make these, the cinnamon buns, no, the buns, which is actually, it was actually kind of easy, because I just made like two like very long tubes out of, I think I used newspapers, which I painted then brown. And then I wrapped the other wig, which I have already cut into different parts, wrapped this around when it was still a tube, so it is all covered with hair. And then I made this swirl and I sewed it. I really used needle and thread, sewed it into this shape, bend it like this, and then sewn it onto the wig itself. So these are like sewn onto, and there's some newspaper in there, like paper mache, the same kind of technique that I used for my Padme Amidala headpiece. Yeah, what I always do to like let this wig not look like too wiggy, is that a word? I don't know. Because here some hair is of course missing at these parts, which is like the hair which would be these like here at the front of my head. I always paint my own hair with eyeshadow, with brown eyeshadow here, and also I go onto like here, all over here, that it looks a little bit more natural, that also here then is hair, or that here would be brown hair. That's what I always do. Because I don't have brown hair, as you can see, so I know many people just use their own hair, part it into like two, make the buns over it with like wig hair then. Well, I can't do that because I'm blonde. One trick that I can show you for any kind of like pigtail wigs that I'm always doing, like of course here's the parting, but the parting doesn't go like until the very end of the wig, to the back. And if you part the hair at these like parts here, then you would always see the net, and it would look so stupid, really. That's why I do the pigtails, buns, or whatever you are doing when you part such a wig. And I leave like one part here open, not to one of the sides, and I cut this short. So, and then I just lay it over this, so you don't see the wig cap, the wig net under. Of course, there's also then not a real parting, but it looks way better than if you would see the net under. So that's always what I'm doing, like this. Here's short hair. Also, a good trick is that you leave some hair at the very back, the bottom, to cover up your own hair, which is here in the back, and it looks way more natural then. So nobody really has complained about that I'm doing it like that. They always say, "Oh, is that your real hair?" And I'm just like, "No, that's not my real hair." Yeah, that's the wig. By the way, I was wearing that costume when yeah, I was, as I said, I wore it at Star Wars Celebration back then. I wore it with so many different conventions. I've worn it together with my friend Sato as Luke. I've worn it together with my friend Michi as Mon Mothma, for example. Back in 2015 at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, I also took part in the cosplay competition. It was my very first time, and I was like super excited that I would actually be allowed to be part of it, because it's actually just such a simple costume, and it wasn't even ready when I sent in my what is it called? You sent in your. But I had a blast, really. I won 3rd place in the princess category back then. The judges actually were Ashley Eckstein, Dave Filoni, I don't remember who else. So that was so incredible. And the hosts at the stage were James Arnold Taylor, so the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Clone Wars, and D. Bradley Baker, who is voicing all the clones in the Clone Wars. And they both they read out what, like, the contestants, they always sent in something like a little text of 100 words about the costume, how it was made or why we love the character or something like that, we always have to send it in and someone will read it out at stage. At this celebration, yeah, each of them, like either D. Bradley Baker or James Arnold Taylor was reading it out. So my text was read by D. Bradley Baker, and I will always remember that when he came to the part when I explained, so my text explained that this is made of cowhide, then he actually imitated a voice of a cow. He was like, moo. Oh, okay. But it was a blast. Yeah, I won, as I said, 3rd place, so I'm like really I'm really happy about that. This is the medal that I won back then. Back then the contestants got prizes, they got medals. I heard like last year at Celebration, I think they didn't get anything, I don't know, but it's kind of a soft enamel medal. Star Wars Celebration 2015 Anaheim. And the funny thing is, here you can see, it says 3rd place princess. I don't know, can you read it? And it also says 3rd place droids, because my category back then, I have no idea why, was put together like princesses and droids, so we were both in the same category. So the winner actually of my category, when I was there with my Leia, was actually a Imperial Protocol droid, so like a 000 kind of, which was not existing back then already, but so I was like competing against droids in this costume. It was like hilarious. I have no idea if they did not have enough contestants or can't remember. Okay, let's get to the accessories. Not this, but I made like 2 accessories over the time for this costume. The first one is actually her blaster, the one which she is using very in the beginning of A New Hope. This one is so freaking like not good because it is so cheaply made, but I still use it because just for photos it looks good. It's actually just a simple like children's carnival pistol, and this is put over like with a, I don't know, some plastic and then some cables wrapped around, and this is something like a charger, or you know, I'm not good with props. I never was. I actually did not bring this with me for Celebration, not because I was so ashamed of it, but because I'm always like super like paranoid with traveling with like weapon kind of things, so I'm always scared to bring these weapon kind of props in my luggage, especially at the airport, and no, so I never did that. But for photos it's actually kind of good. And years later, it sounds like years later, but when Rogue One came out and we saw how the Death Star plans like looked like that Leia got in her hands, I made this very simple disc for the Death Star plan. So this is another prop that I have and bring with me when I'm wearing this costume. That's actually it. Very simple costume, very loved from my side, and I will definitely also wear this in the future. I think now is a good time for putting in the clip which shows me at Celebration stage in 2015. Can't listen to it because my text that I sent in is so like hilarious, so not good. Anyways, have fun watching that. I hope you liked my very simple like Leia costume display, showcase, show off, whatever you call it. Have a nice day. See you real soon, and may the force be with you. Bye.
Franziska Stoller as Princess Leia Organa, A New Hope. Basic,
but beautiful.
and lovely. She wanted to be the strong and confident woman that Leia is and feel the vibe of the original trilogy. Furthermore, her dress was the only one to fit into her luggage for a long journey to California. The cotton sewing were oddly simple. The most difficult part was to find an appropriate fabric. And she's still not fully content with her fabric. No amazing. The hairstyle is made of 2 wigs, and the belt is made of sturdy cowhide. The boots are covered with red gaiters to make them knee-high. That was with an exclamation point. She also paid attention to details like eye color, Leia-like makeup, and how to make the costume look more authentic. Patina!
Yes!
A layer of dirt, like freshly from the garbage compactor.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
So she's filthy. In a basic kind of way.